Thank you to the Women's Caucus for putting together this opportunity to talk about my vision for the Comptroller's office and how we can best support and empower women across the state. My name is Brooke Lierman. I'm a civil rights and disability rights attorney. I'm a proud public school mom of two. I'm a two-term state delegate, and I'm a former member, well, no, I'm a current member still of the Women's Caucus. I'm also thrilled to be the Democratic nominee to be the next state comptroller here in Maryland. I want to start off by saying thank you. Thank you to the caucus for the important work that you are doing and have done to elevate the voices of women and to really build that collective power in Maryland. I'm proud to have been a member for the past almost 8 years, and I'm so grateful for the many issues that the caucus has brought to the forefront and for all of the women in the caucus, your leadership, your friendship, and your support over the years. The pandemic was so hard on so many people, and women, so many women absorbed additional responsibilities that went unseen by so many people. It was essential to have the Women's Caucus ensuring that those voices and those stories and those challenges were not forgotten. I'm also so grateful to have this opportunity to talk to you about my vision for the Comptroller's office and to share my message for Maryland women. A key reason that I first ran for office 8 years ago as a new Baltimore City mom was because I saw the huge disparities in our public school system. And I believed that the state really needed to step up and do better for our kids, for our families, for our entire state. And for the past 8 years, I've loved working at the state level and at the local level as an advocate, working to build new schools, new playgrounds, new libraries, and to fund better transit options. I really dug in at the local level and worked with our families, our communities, in fact, even to bring World Central Kitchen to Baltimore to make sure that they were connected with our school system to feed thousands and thousands and thousands of families throughout the pandemic. And now I'm running to be our next comptroller because the comptroller's office is so uniquely situated to tackle the income-based issues and the economic challenges like the racial wealth divide, ensuring great public schools, and tackling the infrastructure needs that are resulting from climate change. And I know this because for the past 8 years, I've been working with all of you, the Women's Caucus, and so many leaders around the state to tackle many of the challenges facing women and facing families. We've passed the Blueprint for Maryland's Future to provide more and equitable funding for our public school system. We've passed legislation to shore up our childcare system that has been struggling to survive. We passed the Thrive by 3 legislation to make sure that we're working with moms and our youngest Marylanders so that they can grow and thrive as well. I've worked with Moms Demand Action and others on gun violence prevention legislation to make sure that we're creating safer neighborhoods. And I've worked across the state to create programs like the Office of Statewide Broadband, because we know that every Marylander must be connected to high-speed, affordable internet. And small businesses. So many women are entrepreneurs, and I've loved working with them to make sure that we're connecting them to resources. So I'm excited now for this next challenge because I know that the Comptroller's office can do more. If we're bold, we can do better for all Marylanders. So first, if elected, I'm excited to use my voice as one of the only 3 independently elected officials to be your partner and champion. There are only 3 statewide independently elected officials in Maryland: the governor, the attorney general, and the comptroller. And I'm excited to use my voice to make sure your voices are being heard. There's just too much at stake to sit idly by, and you can be sure I'll add my voice to the discussion and lift up the voices of women around the state who need to be heard and must have a seat at every table. Second, if elected, I will use my vote, both on the Board of Public Works, the State Retirement and Pension Board, and more, to ensure that we're using federal dollars coming to Maryland in a way that lifts up all of our communities, including women and our communities of color and immigrant communities and our veterans. We need to make sure that we have people who have a seat at the table who are lifting us up. And I will be sure to make sure that you're involved in that decision-making as your independent advocate on the Board of Public Works and ensuring that our pension dollars are there for our retirees. A pension is a promise. And it is not a promise that will break on my watch. Equity and best value must be at the center of our decisions, including on the Board of Public Works. Too often, the Board of Public Works waives the minority business enterprise requirements, which include women-owned businesses, or they work with out-of-state companies on sole source contracts. That's unacceptable. As Comptroller, I will work with you to eliminate barriers, open up opportunities for our MBEs, and stop waiving those requirements. We need to grow our small businesses and our women-owned small businesses. In fact, the fastest growing group of small business owners is Black women. And we can and we must do more to support their small businesses and support entrepreneurs so that they can start in Maryland and stay in Maryland. And finally, as a tax collector, administrator, I will be focused on ensuring that we have the revenue we need to do the big things we know to do as a state, we need to do as a state. There's so much that our tax administration can do better to support our families. For instance, just 2 years ago, we passed the largest extension and expansion of the state earned income tax credit in America. But we know that at least a quarter of families aren't claiming that tax credit. We have to make sure, whether it's the senior tax credit we just passed, the earned income tax credit, the teacher tax credit, that every Marylander knows what's owed to them. And we need to make sure that we're fully funding the blueprint for Maryland's future and generating the revenue by cutting waste and ensuring that we are eliminating tax fraud in the state of Maryland as well. I also want to make sure that we're creating a taxpayer advocate office in the Comptroller's office to reach out to families, small businesses, and communities to help ensure that they have someone to turn to and a partner to work with to receive the benefits they're owed. So as Comptroller, I will be an independent voice for Marylanders and for women, ensuring that taxpayers receive the best value for our tax dollars, preventing waste and fraud, and unlocking opportunities for every Maryland resident, family, and business. I am also excited as a member of the Women's Caucus to be working with you to break a glass ceiling as the very first woman comptroller in the state of Maryland. I hope I can earn your support. Thank you so much, and please keep in touch.